What's up, people? OneNutPunch here. Going back to Sengoku Dynasty for a little bit, talking about their newest update coming out called Kintsugi, and we're going to talk a little bit about what they're going to be doing to it, or really what's going to be happening during, I think, beta phase of the game. It wasn't really, I guess, described or like told, hey, we have this on live or beta, because they still tell you to go on to the beta and try to participate in it. And I think it's called release candidate, essentially meaning that it's still in public beta, but you could go ahead and play it, and its access is fully to everybody that bought the game. So right now what they're doing is they're supposedly changing the RAM and being able to allow shorter loading times when playing the game itself. I will say that when you play this game, you're going to have performance issues. Another thing I want to talk about is the rope. The rope icon is shown in the materials when you're making something, but not in the selection screen over by the tailoring outpost or the tailoring workbench, because that confused a lot of people because they didn't know what the hell it was until you read it and it says rope. But when you look at the materials, like when you're making a bow or something else, it would show the rope icon there. So I don't understand why that wasn't put in tailoring. But anyway, like I said beforehand, when it comes down to the FPS issues, you're going to have problems when you play this game, even during the beta or the release candidate of this version, because when I got into it, that's all I've been playing is the Kintsugi update. And I've been seeing that my FPS will go from like 120 down to like 60. Lowest I ever seen was about 24, 25 range. But I mean, it wasn't unplayable. I've never really had an issue, except when you go to the edge of the map and there's these invisible walls that you can't go bypass, and there's bandits over there that are floating in the sky because they basically died and they were raptured and sent up there. Going on the list that I've seen from the update, some of the bullet points that they were talking about: the better compatibility mode, less crashes, game uses less RAM. We changed recommended specs from 24 gig to 16 gigs, and minimal specs from 16 gigs to 12 gigs. Most crashes were connected to RAM usage, so the game should be more stable overall. Here's my issue with this, is that when I went to go and play the game on some of the higher populated areas, like the Monastery or Iwasaki or I think Asagani, I can't remember what the actual villages are called, but when you go to those higher populated areas, the FPS starts to tank really low. And I don't know if that's something that they know about or something that happened with this update specifically, because I never had much of an issue going into like the hot spring area or being able to talk to somebody at one of the villages like the mining outpost, or being able to like talk to a normal refugee place and being like, hey, you, and you come to my dynasty so I can get more dynasty points. After building a house that's either got 4 or 5 beds inside of it, put 4 or 5 people into it and then give them a bunch of jobs later on so they can make more stuff for me later, rather than me having to do it all the damn time. So if I go over to the carving station, make a bunch of planks, instead of me doing it, I could have the refugees do it, have jobs, make money, and so on. That's essentially what they're trying to do with Sengoku Dynasty. It's turn it into a whole simulation of not only you wandering around and crafting stuff, but also making buildings, making your own kind of base, and then having people that come to live at your base do stuff for you so you can make more money and be more efficient. Going down the other list, they were talking about some of the other things with the new progression system. So reaching dynasty level used to be level 14. They changed that to being level 13 and making it faster. So the quests that you get are like 1,000 to 3,500 XP depending upon what it is. Like I did, I think, a quest where I had to get the council members to come together and then be able to find another person that was guilty of something, not be guilty, and then have a woman become a council member after that. So I don't know really what the hell happened, other than I got a bunch of people drunk, also made some vegetable meals, and then gave them some painkillers afterwards so they all felt good. That's pretty much all I remember about that quest line. One of the notes talking about the progression system was that for true sense of progression and growth, the new system of unlocking recipes will reward you for exploration, finding new resources, getting new items, or reaching village-sized milestones. Until now, recipes were unlocked only by completing specific quests. Now you'll be able to unlock them by reaching a dynasty level, acquiring new items, building new structures, purchasing recipes directly on the radial menu, buying recipes from a trader, completing quests, better NPC AI. We're working on ensuring your workers are more responsive and behave more realistically. This is a work in progress, but a lot of improvements are already visible. Animals, you will now encounter bears, wolves, and wild boars, which I've seen already. What they'll do is on the map, they'll show like hares and boars and bears and wolves and whatever location they're currently in. And when you do that, it'll show an icon on the map. So when you go to that location again, it'll show you which animal it was. So if it was a bunny rabbit, then it'll be a bunny rabbit. The other thing is that they have these cutscenes, and these cutscenes don't have audio in them. They're probably going to have it later on down the road. The game is still in early access and does have quite a bit of stuff to do with it. For example, there's like 3 more updates before they put out for 1.0. So I'm assuming it's going to be maybe a couple more years before they think about releasing it a full release. So with that being said, on it comes down to Kintsugi update, they were talking about the animals again fighting each other, which that is something I've seen happen a couple of times if they're not stuck on a rock. They're still a work in progress because when I go and look at like a couple of bears, they'll be stuck on a rock and I can kill them instantly because they can't really move. They're just stuck there forever. So that's probably something they have to fix later on down the road. Also, everything that you do essentially in the game, whether it be crafting something or trading something, you'll get experience for. So it's not going to be that difficult to get your dynasty level from like 1 or level 7 to level 13 because it goes up pretty fast. Farming and foliage, new harvested field stage and plowing action, rebalanced farming action, some required multiple hits to perform. Crops will now grow when you sleep. You can now farm gabo, which is essentially the plant that would be like this blue type of plant you'd go pick up. Plants found in the wild are now season dependent for more realism. New flowers, trees, and plants available for planting. The UI indicator for planted resources, which different icons for different plants, like chrysanthemum or like those other types of flowers. I don't really know the whole type of plant seasoning or anything to do with planting because I haven't done farming yet. Like, I know the foods you can get in the game, such as gabo, chrysanthemum, meat, eggs, and you can make them all together in different meals like vegetable meal or meat meals. And that really depends upon you getting the cooking pot or not, because when you start up the campfire, that's what you normally have when you first go ahead and cook stuff in the game. They also talk about, I think it was something to do with new buildings and kitchen and workshop, which kitchen is something I don't remember if they had in the game. That might be new or not. I'm not really particularly sure because when I played the game, there was different stuff you would make, like a workshop, hunter's hut, fisherman's hut, and then they had like the weird type of like blacksmith workshop, tailoring. You had to buy the different furniture, which you still need to do for the houses if you want to go and get new things made, like tanning vats in order to get leather or something else. If you're trying to do different types of tailoring, like I said earlier, trying to find rope, only seeing no placeholder instead of seeing the actual rope icon when you go and look at the material stuff. Like I said earlier, when it comes down to whether this game is on live servers or a beta branch, you could actually see it in the notes here where it says you could find this branch in the beta, right-click on the game in the library, then properties, betas, and enter this password before Kintsugi. So I'm assuming it's still in beta, which again, my guy has no head or arms or whatever, and that happens whether I'm in third or first person. But like I said, game's in public beta and early access, so there's still quite a bit of stuff that people are doing with it. I'm playing it on the beta because I want to see everything new and everything I can try out, because I went from basically Dynasty 1 in one server, or one save I had, to being like Dynasty 20, and then now I went and started a brand new world because it was a brand new update, and then now I'm like, I think 14 in my other one, so I'm pretty much waiting for anything new that comes out for Sengoku Dynasty. And in closing, my update, personal opinion is it's pretty damn good. It's a step in the right direction, and I've been liking it a lot. I put about I'd say maybe 6-7 hours into it ever since they released the update, and I've been on a tear lately when it comes down to survival games. Sunken Land awoken something in me, because after this, I've been wanting to play not only Sengoku Dynasty, but Volcanoids, Void Train, Sunken Land, obviously, when they do the updates, Sengoku Dynasty, of course, and then, I think some other games, too, that I was picking up from early access. But that being said, I don't really have much else in the patch notes that I've seen from Sengoku Dynasty during the Kintsugi update. But I'll let people know if there's anything more with a hot fix, or if they did any more for the performance issues, or if they fixed a lot of the bugs in the game, like despawning materials, or sometimes, for example, with my people, my dynasty, being annoyed and angry, sometimes they'll just despawn out of existence, and I can't find them anymore, so that's also another issue I have with it. But again, it's early access, it's in public beta, and I can't really fault it too much. I've been putting a shit ton of time and effort into the game, and I still think it's fun as hell, even though people gave it shit. So, I've been OneNutPunch, and this has been another video. I'm working on other stuff right now, guys and gals. I'm still also waiting on, some bullshit when it comes down to life itself and losing my benefits, which I have lost about maybe a couple weeks ago. But after filing for an appeals council, my hope is that I do get my stuff back, because they did also state to me that a lot of the medical history that I had was missing. So I'm hoping that with the 500 pages that was sent maybe about a couple days ago, they'll reconsider and let me stay on for another couple years, since I just had an MRI done for a fractured tailbone. But that being said, there's some other stuff that I'm going to be working on, and some stuff I want to definitely go back and play, since I'm kind of going back into the back history of the early access games I wanted to try out, like Wantless, USC Counterforce, Undeadly, and some other stuff as well. Anyway, I've been OneNutPunch, and this has been another video. Thanks for watching, as per usual. And like I said earlier, the update isn't really out yet on live. If you want to try it out, you could try it on the beta. It'll be on the front page, and they'll tell you how to play the actual thing itself. I'm having fun with it so far, even though there is glaring issues. Early access does have that thing. People seem to forget. But going back and playing survival games again, and then being able to try this, having to manage all my different villagers, and having, items and stuff I could sell later, does feel like I'm becoming a trader, or rather a merchant, in my village, and then becoming, of course, a lord later, because that might be happening for the other 3 updates. Anyway, this has been the Sengoku Dynasty Kintsugi update. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later in the next one.